afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
I guess I'll call the meeting to order because I don't know that we have a chair anymore.
That
So-
would be correct, I think.
Yeah,
I think so.
so, it's 3:30, we can start. I included, documents of most everything that's on this agenda, so I'll just go through them really quickly if that's okay, and then if you guys have any questions or want to discuss anything, you
Sure.
can let me know. Agenda item 2A is the town's Community Choice Power Supply Program. I think I put a copy of the public notice in there for you. Yes. That starts this month with on individual customers' meter reads, so that changes from, home to home. But for customers or residents enrolled in the program, it'll be 14.684 cents per kilowatt hour. And that's through November of 2025. So this is down, we were at 23 cents, this is down to 14 now,
Big
which is
difference,
good,
yeah.
yes. And you can see on here that National Grid's, at least their residential rate is 18 cents. That's just until July because they change their prices more often than the town does, but, so I'm not sure what their pricing will be beyond next July, but we have these rates here right now for comparison.
They usually go up in July, in the middle of winter, so they usually raise their rates. Do you know what the history is?
I mean, their last winter, they were like 33 cents. I think they were 17.
Right.
But any earlier than that, I would have to look at their pricing sheet and their history.
This is an opt-in program. If you're already participating in the current program, do you automatically get enrolled in this, or do you have to re-enroll?
No, if you're already enrolled in the town's program, then you don't have to take any action.
Okay.
It'll just, on your November or your December bill, it will just show the change in supplier.
And has any notice gone out to the residents to let them know about this?
Yes, this went out to residents.
That went out as a postcard.
Or the postcard, yeah. I think there was a,
Okay.
horizontal postcard,
I might
but it
have
had all
missed
this,
that.
had all the same information.
Okay, I might have missed it. I didn't.
I had to opt in, so I think I expired on late October
Okay.
with my other contracts.
Mm-hmm.
And they said it would take like 2 months to get over. So I'm like, well, what happens if I'm not on yours? And I have to be on somebody else's?
Yeah, National Grid's basic service is the default, so
Right.
you would be placed on National Grid's for a
Right.
month until National Grid changes your
until-
supplier.
Until I get onto this.
Yes.
Right. So I'll go to 33 for a couple of weeks or maybe a
No,
month.
it'll be 18.
It'll be, oh, that's right, it'll be 18 come November.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
The people
They
people
said-
are at 33 now still, going to 18 on National
no,
Grid?
people on National Grid are at 17. Last winter it was 33.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I've never really, from the people that I've spoken to, I haven't noticed that it takes 2
As
months.
long,
They say
yeah.
that just in case it does take 2 months,
Right.
if you call the day after your meter read and then you have to wait pretty
the
much a
next
whole
meeting.
month
Yeah.
and then it starts and then that's 2 months
Yeah.
beyond that point. But
Right.
I don't think.
Yeah. I wasn't really worried about it, but
Okay.
it was just.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing because it's not something that was ever on my radar, but I didn't like any of I didn't like our rates. I didn't like their rates, and I didn't like and it was just crazy. Those
Yeah.
rates are insane.
Yeah, they were really high for a while. The second item is the EV charging station update. We have the EV charging station outside here at Town Hall. I included a usage report from the date it was commissioned to 10/25, so last week. I thought that was just interesting to include for reference. I uploaded this to the website as well, under Energy Committee.
Is it a standard type of charging station, or is it a supercharged?
It's a standard one. The terminology is level 2.
Level 2?
It's not one of those fast chargers.
Okay.
But the fast chargers weren't covered by the grant that we received, so.
And is this just for town employees?
No, this is open to the public too.
Okay.
Yes. But we do have a new electric vehicle, an inspection vehicle.
Right.
Yes.
I saw, I
Yeah.
see that.
So we have
Good.
been, after hours, we'll charge it overnight
Okay.
on the charger. For residents that come in, it's 25 cents per kilowatt hour. For the town, because we own it, we have a little card that we can charge for free. We are paying for the electricity that's used to power the charger, but we're not charged that 25 cents per kilowatt.
So this has been in place for a year already? From-
No, it was commissioned last December. Maybe,
Because it says 2022,
Oh.
1025.
no, I'm
and
sorry.
23, 1025.
Maybe I just pulled it for the last year then, but this would be from last December to now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would make more sense. I didn't think it was in a lock that long. All right. So, well, still, it's about 10 months.
Yep.
So not getting a lot of use for 10 months
No,
at this point. But that might change.
it might. We tried to price it, the rate for the charging, to be lower than surrounding chargers, like the ones at the mall. I believe when I set this rate, it was lower than what they charge at the mall. But
People don't
yeah, I
know,
don't know. With these charges, you have to sit for a couple hours to get a full charge.
And the ones at the mall are faster.
I think they have some fast ones and some level 2s. So yes. And at the mall, if someone catches the bus or goes in to shop, not that
Right.
many people do at the
They go to
Opry
the
Mall,
doctor
but
while the car shops
Yeah.
or whatever.
yeah,
Not
there's
much to
not
do here.
many reasons to hang out at town hall for hours and hours, although I do. Monday through Friday.
Do you know how much something like this charging station costs? Do you know what the installation cost is? I'm just curious.
I think it was 24,000, but I would have to double check all the invoices from last year. I want to say 24,000, and that was the infrastructure, and they had to run a wire into
Sure.
the panel downstairs. So installation costs and material.
Mm-hmm.
I can check that.
That must be in our old notes somewhere.
Yeah. And if not, I have all the invoices and I have the final statement, so I can pull that one out again. It's just been a little while since I closed that out. Go to 2D. I just submitted this grant application for Green Communities on October 20th.
That's this one, not the elementary
Yes.
school.
Yep. For heat pumps in the Bryn Mawr School. I haven't heard back, and I don't know when I expect to hear back from Department of Energy Resources on whether we were awarded the grant or not, but I included the application
Is it-
and the proposal in here
That's
too.
in Massachusetts?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, all right, okay.
I didn't know the grant was in here. Oh, it's on this part. So this project is all pending the grant, I see. No grant, no project.
I am not sure, because if they still really needed to go forward with it, it would come out of the school budget. So I don't know what their plan is if we do not receive the grant funds.
Do you know if the heating and cooling system is it's at the end of its life? Is that
Yeah,
okay? And they already have a heat pump system part of the school.
yes, they do.
What's the experience been with that in terms of functionality and everything?
So upon talking to Joe Fahey, who is the facilities manager for the schools, he said they're working out great, saving
I don't know
energy
that much about heat pumps yet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He said that they're saving energy, increased comfort, and those are the two main things that you want out of them. So he likes them, and this project was already on the docket to be next for Green Communities funding. So, and it's because at the time, this is at its end of its useful life.
Sure.
Their system
So
right
how
now,
does it,
so.
I mean, the school kind of runs independently of municipal. So how does this come to our purview? Just because it's energy?
Yes.
Okay. Because we don't really have
Because
any say, like, we're not approving this or anything.
Yeah.
We're just discussing it.
Yes, I don't know how projects were chosen in the past or how if you guys ever saw, a handful of proposals and decided which ones you would choose to recommend, if you did?
No.
No?
No, I mean, when I joined, which was, I don't know, 3 years ago, I guess. I mean, we walked into the street lighting thing. That's pretty much all that's crossed our table
Okay,
of any substance.
okay.
Yeah, we were discussing the type of street lights and what kind of LEDs and things, and had some input into that. But other than that, we didn't.
I think, well, you were here first, I think. So
Okay.
like, everything was just, I was just
already on
learning.
its way,
I mean, it was
yeah.
interesting and learning about
Yeah.
things you
Yeah.
don't know about, but we didn't really have much oversight.
Not really. Do you know much about these systems at all? I mean, there's something on here I'm curious about. It says the proposed heat pump systems are rated to +4 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm just curious, sometimes it gets colder than that. What happens then? There's that just...
I've been actually looking at geothermal for the house, and so that's a good number, first of all.
Okay.
Well, for geothermal. One of the problems with air source heat pumps is you're trying to get hot air out of cool air in the
Vice versa.
winter, and in the summer you're trying to get cold air out of hot air. I'm surprised that it said that they didn't put this, that it sounds like the way it was written, they've only looked at this one system with this one company, which I was kind of surprised by, because why wouldn't you look at, you're spending $250,000, why wouldn't you go look at 3 jobs, at least get 3 quotes, and why not look at geothermal? But I didn't know whether this trigger was because, we've got like, I was looking at geothermal because of the state incentives, and but again, there's a wall here, so we're not offering any oversight, but I'm surprised that they would not cast a wider net.
You know, that makes sense. I just don't know. I mean, if that's a normal thing, or I mean, what happens below 4 degrees, or
I'm not sure what the +4 degrees Fahrenheit is.
yeah.
That seems to be like a mechanical thing, which is not my area of expertise. So I would have to ask, but
4 degrees is pretty cold, and if it can keep up. But when I looked at the air source ones, and almost everybody was saying keep your oil, because what they'll do is they'll put well, I shouldn't say that because that's the geothermal. The geothermal has an electric heater as well as the air pump to supplement the heat as it goes in.
okay.
So I would assume since the air source heat pumps are significantly less efficient than the geotherm, because with the geotherm, you're working on like 55-degree air. With the heat pump, you're gonna be working on -4 or 4-degree air. So they must have a standard electrical heat element, but they can't because they're running it from outside directly in.
I don't know. I mean,
So-
you
so
know a lot more about
that's
it
a
than I
good
do.
question.
Yeah, it's just I was curious about it because I don't know that much about them. And I
There's
don't know.
got to be an electrical heat element in those things for when it gets too cold.
I don't see anything that shows a backup system,
Yeah.
so I don't know, but I don't know, maybe one isn't needed, maybe that's just a guideline,
Yeah. Well,
hard to tell
they
that
could be
we're-
on oil now, right?
Yeah.
They could be keeping that, and that's what they would turn the heat on. They would turn the oil on when it got really cold.
Yeah, because there's nothing I can see in here that talks about removing the old system.
Yeah. So that's probably what the solution was, because that was what the advice I got was, keep the oil and use the heat pumps.
As a supplement.
90% of the time, heat pumps are fine. But when you get into those really cold snaps,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what you do
you turn the heat,
occasionally.
you turn the oil on, and
So this +4 just means that if it's 4 degrees out.
yeah, I mean, it's all engineering
Yeah.
guesstimates, isn't it, anyway? Because you get the building and how tight the envelope is. I mean, there's a lot of variables there.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, the machine is rated for something, is to keeping
Okay.
a certain standard, under certain circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But-
Yeah, and it's hard for us to know because we don't have anybody representing companies
Right.
here to
But-
ask, you know?
Right, but the real world, it all depends on the building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, how many windows,
How much
how tight is the
insulation it is.
insulation.
Yeah.
So, like, all of that, but as an engineering standard, that means it's very efficient. The
Okay.
heat pump is a good heat pump,
Yeah.
if it's rated that cold.
Okay.
That's good to know.
Because
Like
in
I said,
ideal
the mechanical
circumstances,
and
you
the
should be comfortable
engineering is not.
You'd like to
at
be.
4 degrees,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So you put the bid in on your own just for the town to save the money on the improvement, separate from the school department. And if that money comes in, it'll just go to the school department's budget as part of their capital expenditure for the new heating system. Is that how that works?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
This is the finance committee guy asking this question. So because the school department so the school department, from the
As-
sounds of it, is gonna buy this either way.
Yes. At some point, I don't know.
If you get the 200,000 from the state
Mm-hmm.
to supplement it, that's logically gonna go to their budget, not to the municipal budget.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if we don't make decisions on anything or like that, I hate to say, what is our purpose?
I don't want to say that I'm not sure.
Okay, well, that works too.
I mean, we've only met a few times. And I know that meetings have been sporadic since probably COVID in general.
Sure.
If you'd like me to bring proposals, I'm not entirely clear on the process myself either, just having started a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I mean, it would be,
This project, I knew after the Merriam building, it was told to me that this project was next up.
if there are certain functions that we're supposed to have, or it'd be nice to know,
Mm-hmm.
or, are we just kind of sitting here to be informed after the fact? I don't know. Yeah, and you don't know either, I know, so,
We were talking about this before, about
yeah.
the inertia of government is both our strength and weakness, right? I mean, people, this did not fall, this was not a 10-minute,
No,
let me have a guy come in and, give me a quote, and, you know what I mean? Like, they've gone, presumably, everybody has done their due diligence.
right.
My question, obviously, about why, because it states that they only did they only talked to Guardian, they took Guardian's price, Guardian suggestions. And, you know, it's not like there's a ton of vendors to choose from. And if we have history with, you know, with one guy, then, you know, you don't generally go looking for somebody else. But
Yeah, I will say, we normally do contract with them, and there is a Mass General law that allows for you to contract directly with the vendor
right.
on energy projects over a certain amount. So because we normally work with them on the Green Communities project, that's why
Right.
we're working with them again.
Right, and then there's
Yeah.
the whole state oversight of the town. So there's a whole lot of stuff. So to answer your question, you know, there is an apparatus, but there isn't any outside citizenry that theoretically is not part of the system seeing anything. So on the flip side, we only see what they show us, right? So this is, you know, like whether you could really audit in the traditional sense of an audit, but we are witnesses to and more knowledgeable. Somebody has to sit here, otherwise there's no meeting, right? I mean, that's the bottom line. So then you literally have a town government that does what it wants, and that's when you get into big problems because,
Well,
like,
yeah,
some
I get-
towns have,
yeah.
you know,
I get that, I just didn't know, I don't know, and I don't know whether we have like veto power over anything, or we can, you know, ask for more information, or what our function is in terms of, are we here just to receive this information and say that's nice, or do we have any authority to do anything? I don't know.
well, most authority is taken and not given.
That's,
Which, by that I mean, like,
yeah.
you know, we can go sit down with, you know, Joe Fahey and take a tour of the buildings and see what we're being, you know, like, because we don't, I'm sort of what I'm doing on the housing committee. It's like, you go to a meeting, and it's like, well, how about taking a tour of the facilities? Like, what are we approving on the budget? Like, I have no idea, I've never seen the heating system. So, like, this is, but, you know, it takes time and effort and, you know, people volunteer or whatever their level of interest is,
Sure.
you know?
If you would like more say on certain items, whatever those items may be, if you want to take votes on certain things, I'd be more than happy to do that.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, like with this proposal, it would require quite a bit more investigation for us to be able to do that. I don't know, I mean, we haven't met with anybody, I haven't seen the system. I don't even know if it's my place to do any of that. I just don't know. I'm not certain as to what the function of the committee should be and what we're here to do or allowed not to do or not to do. I'm just kind of curious about that. You know, what is our function in this process other than just reviewing and knowing about it, if there is anything?
Yeah. I mean, this is a voluntary committee as
Right.
opposed to like a planning board or a regulatory board. So items brought up would be recommendations, or votes in some cases, but
I suspect the aggregate program probably came from a suggestion from the board. Or maybe somebody or a salesman might have pitched the town. But at some point, somebody had to say, you know, you think this is a good idea, should we do this? But it's not like the town manager couldn't make that decision unilaterally, but that doesn't mean, you know, he's gonna be a lightning rod for whatever, anything, right? No matter what he does, people love it or hate it, the regular stuff. So, you know, it makes sense for him to try to create avenues for citizen oversight so that, you know, decisions are made or are not made, you know, completely autocratically. So I'm sure, you know, like our discussion about, you know, at the last meeting, for the aggregate thing, nobody liked the numbers. Nobody liked National Grids, nobody liked, so which was the worst choice that, you know, we should choose from. You know, then that basically falls onto you as the point person of the department to, you know, go out and negotiate and find what you can find. You know, so ultimately you're giving it to us as what you thought was best, and if we had a better idea or somebody had a, you know, who knows, we could have restarted the whole process, but that would take a lot of time for somebody to volunteer. But it is a volunteer thing, like if you want to participate in governance, then, you know, there is a little bit more legwork to become an expert at anything. So. It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, I'll keep moving on if that's all right. The net metering credit agreement update. I just updated that agreement earlier this year. The allocations just changed in the sense that I had to remove a couple accounts, electric accounts that are no longer active. So that's the only reason why they changed. But from those inactive accounts, we had a balance of extra credits, and I distributed those to various town electric accounts, and it was $160,000. So there are quite a few town electric accounts that have not paid anything, have not had a balance in a while. So that's my only update on that. I just wanted to let you guys know that I did update that Schedule Z agreement.
This is from, the net metering is from the solar
Yes.
panels?
Yep.
And how do, well, again, you probably don't know. Presumably, it will go from oil to electric, like this, at the school, the electric demand's gonna go way up.
Yep.
So is there, with that presumably coming on board regardless of the grants, does that mean we have more overhead to buy more solar panels? Because you had mentioned once that we can only buy up to a certain percentage of...
So we can buy more solar panels. They will not be a part of this system that is in Rutland. It's not in town. It's in Rutland. We just have the agreement with them to purchase all of the power generated from there as credits on our bills.
Right.
So yes, we could get more solar panels elsewhere in town and do a similar kind of agreement. Or there's the panels on the middle school and the high school. Those are meters that offset your electricity as the sun hits them, which is a different billing mechanism than this agreement is. But the net metering credit agreement can be edited, so if you want to account for the increase in electric usage from this upgrade from the Green Communities project, we could take a look at that.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's a long
Yeah.
way off, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say they can only be edited twice a year. So I did one this year to get rid of all the inactive accounts. I could do another one, but then we would have to wait another period of time. I don't know if it's the calendar year or if it's a year from the date that you submit it. So if, you know, if it was sometime next year that this came online, or they switched the heating system, then we could take that into account and I could go back through it.
Right. Actually, going back to what you asked, you know, I think a lot of people really like the aggregate program.
That's good.
And the aggregate program is, so, you know, like there's two theories of, you know, committees tend to fall into oversight of the public administration, and you just look at, you know, everybody's doing their job right, honestly, whatever. But there's also the other side of town services where not only do people want their streets plowed and the fire engines to come and all the other stuff, but there's also, the town is a financial grouping that has certain abilities and power that is stronger in an aggregate. And so, I think some people would like to see the committee, but I don't really know how. For instance, we could put, the town could have a solar panel, or like the thing with the geothermal, or like, we can make ourselves a green community, not just the public,
Label of it.
not just the public buildings.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the guy that wants to pave 5 driveways, on the street. Like, why can't the town be looking at the town as an aggregate and say, how do we make the town, stronger, energy independent, more efficient? And I think that's all a legitimate. You might get a lot of pushback, but those are legitimate ideas to float if there's whatever the idea is,
I'm always
So there
open
is-
for ideas.
I tend to think more on the financial side. You fix the financial side, everything's affordable. But that is, at some point, it has to hit, the rubber hits the road. We could have our own lighting company, we could have our own internet company like Shrewsbury does. Like, there's a lot of
Yeah.
variables,
I looked into having our own lighting company. I don't think it's feasible because there's the Mass General Law doesn't. I don't know how to explain it. It's very.
Well, everybody
Very
else is
in-depth.
grandfathered in.
Everyone
Right.
else is grandfathered in, yes. So there hasn't been a new municipal electric company since 1928, and the current Mass General Law allows National Grid to sell it for what they think, like the infrastructure and everything, sell it for what they think is a fair price. So there's no mechanism to stop them from saying,
Yeah, there's a,
okay, it's $1 billion for all this infrastructure.
yeah.
So.
And that gets deep into politics, but ultimately, we actually do control the laws in this country and in the town and in the state. And it really takes pushback from somebody somewhere to start a ball rolling. Because, National Grids has gotten plenty of cherry deals on tape. You know what I mean? Like, the way the building works, right? Where they're charging for the transmission fee, even though they're not supplying the electricity. But, we've got this thing from, you can't own the transmission. You can't negotiate the transmission.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be this much, regardless of how efficient you get. Half of the bill is,
Those charges, the distribution charges.
I mean, there's no competition here, right? There's no,
Yeah.
whatever economic theory you want to work from, this is a cherry deal. They're a utility, they have a monopoly, and they're very lightly constrained. But, if you look at what happened in Merrimack with the gas company, and you just sit there, when you do it wrong, you can really do it wrong, right? So, you do need the expertise, but people are always worried about money. It's really not about the science half the time.
I will let one of you two make a motion to accept the minutes, if you feel so inclined.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay.
I second it.
All right.
Wasn't much alternative, right?
And the vote,
Aye.
Okay. Formality, I have to ask
Yeah.
for a vote.
Of course.
Do you have any updates, discussion items?
I
Anything
think-
that wasn't
I
covered?
kind of remember, I remember asking about where the system was to control the streetlights. What we got was a package where there's supposed to be controls through a computer so that if there are certain ones that maybe you don't need as many, or you can actually kind of turn them down sometimes at night in certain areas to save electricity when you don't need them quite on.
Yeah.
Matt said, as I recall, Matt said he had a phone app. I don't know if you got that phone app.
I don't. I think someone at
I think you're right
DPW
about that.
has the app.
Yeah.
DPW does the upkeep of the lights,
Yeah.
reports outages.
Pretty much all of the LED systems that are installed now have an ability to look at individual lights and kind of tune them. Maybe, you need more brightness in an area or less. And you can actually try to achieve some energy savings by programming it so certain lights dim a little bit.
Yep.
It's hardly noticeable with LED.
I think we had that full moon the other night.
Mm-hmm.
And as I recall, there was an algorithm that turned the lights down based on the moon cycle when we were
Yeah.
discussing that,
Oh.
when the system was new.
That's interesting.
So the other day, I have a light on my corner, and I looked out the window, and of course it's bright as all day,
Yeah.
but I thought I could see the street light on the driveway, and it looked kind of bright, and I said, wow, that probably should be duller. Then the next day, it was completely overcast, and you wouldn't know there was a light on outside because it was so dark.
Yeah.
So I think, in fact, that they were turned down for the full moon, but then it was overcast, so it didn't really matter that we had a full moon.
Yeah.
It was dark. So, the systems, the theories of the systems
Yeah.
and the practice of the system depends more on the weather than on the lunar cycle,
Yeah.
But you gotta pick something. I think that's what they picked.
Yeah, in general though, you can turn them down a little bit at certain areas, just as a matter of practice, it helps to save a little bit more electricity and you don't need as much outdoor lighting sometimes anyway.
Right?
Yeah. I can see who has access to the app, or if it's
And if
not
they
an app,
even-
the website or the software.
Yeah, and if they even use it or look at it,
Yeah. I mean, I know that they look at it. Some streetlight outages are resident reported and some of them are noticed by
Have you got any,
DPW.
you said streetlight outages, are any of them going out? I mean, these should last for many, many years.
Again, I can't say for sure because DPW responds to those calls. There's a form on their website, or they do get direct calls when people say my streetlight is out. I don't think that they replace them often. It's not like it's something that's happening
It should.
every week or every month even.
They
It's
shouldn't.
just
I mean, if LEDs are supposed to
once
be
in a
rated for
while.
at least 20 years or so.
yeah. I think most of the outages are, weather related or
Yeah,
a
mine went
car
out.
hit it or something.
Yours did.
Mine went out, but I don't think it wasn't the fixture that went out. I lost an old telephone line, and whatever lost the
Yeah,
telephone
I
line,
think it's-
it messed up the.
Sure, maybe a surge or something.
Yeah, and they came out and fixed it in
Yeah,
no time. But they didn't, I'm pretty sure they didn't replace the fixture. It was just an electrical
Yeah.
issue. I mean, when it first came out, a lot of people were, describing their streetlights as the North Star. Like they thought they were a little too bright. So, and at that time, people were told that you could contact DPW and, ask for it to be turned down or whatever.
they're actually not as bright as they could be, because if you look at Worcester, they've got the earlier generation, which are much whiter, much more blue light, and they're not healthy actually. But we have what's warmer color,
Oh, yeah.
3000K versus probably about 5 for Worcester. So they are bright. The LEDs in and of themselves can be kind of bright, but these are not as overwhelming as some others.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a blurb on the website that people can
I don't
offer
know.
their input, if they like it brighter or darker or whatever.
Yeah, usually people don't say too much about it unless it's really super bright. Some towns and cities have actually had to replace some because they put in the wrong system in the beginning.
Are they too bright, or are they,
They're okay.
in your opinion?
They're okay.
Okay.
They could actually be a little dimmer for my taste, but I mean, it's a little lower
Mhm.
K number, but it's not bad. I think these are 3,000 from what I remember.
Okay.
That's an age thing too, because, I used to
Yeah.
think my father was crazy with his lights. And, you know, I'm getting older and it's like, oh, we gotta replace this light, it's too dark in here. Like, you know, so driving, I'd much rather have more light, you know? But
Well-
I'm sure the guy who lives next to the house light doesn't necessarily want more light. So,
It's just that-
which constituent are you trying to keep happy, you know?
Well, it has to do with the type of lighting, basically.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause some of the ones, the earlier ones, the higher K number ones, actually have been shown to have some adverse health effects,
Yeah.
as well as bad effects on insects and other things too.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of information about that, but I'm not going to go into it.
Would you guys like to set the next meeting date today while we're here?
Sure, I'm
Okay.
okay. We'll pick a date and then figure out if it works later, I guess. Is 3:30 okay with you still, Steve?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
And do Mondays work?
Mondays are good. Being retired, it gives me something to look forward to.
So what are we thinking, 4 months, 3 months, 6 months? I don't know what you have on your table.
It's up to you guys. I was gonna suggest after the holidays,
Yeah.
just because, you know, trying to do
Okay.
something in
Yeah.
November and December.
No, it
Or-
wouldn't.
No.
Any Monday, I guess, in November would, or sorry, January. We're in November now.
Yeah, I'm around.
Would work because I'm not scheduled out that far.
Well, I would, I mean, I don't know if, I don't know what we're gonna discuss. Oh, I would probably give yourself more time
Okay,
than less.
sure.
Maybe do February.
Okay.
We can always back it up if you've got things you wanna.
First week of February, I'm here. There's a week in February I won't be, but I think it's kind of in the middle of the month, maybe starting on 14th or something.
Valentine's Day?
Um,
I can't remember the exact date we're going to be.
The 14th's a Wednesday.
do you want
It'll be
to
that.
tentatively do February 5th?
Yeah, that's
Sure.
At
Yeah, the
3:30?
19th's probably the holiday, so yeah. So February 5th.
sure. You'll have all the answers to our questions by then?
Yes, I will.
Oh, good.
I got the streetlights, if there's an app for it, and I would be more than happy to try to come up with some items that I can bring to you for a vote or a recommendation
Okay.
or something like that. That way I don't want to waste your time and
Yeah,
feel like you have no, you know, that you're not making a difference, that you're not voting on anything, you're just getting an update, and that's fair. I don't want
well, I mean,
that
if
to be the,
if that's what the Energy Committee is, so be it. I just wasn't really sure what our function could be or should be, so.
Well, I would like to know more about your research into the town electric company.
okay. Yeah,
myself,
I can-
If you've,
I've-
you've already done some of the
Yeah,
legwork.
I've done some of the research.
Yeah. I mean, you could also mail it to us separately, but. I
Okay.
guess, You know, there are laws that are just,
Yeah. Yeah, it's an outdated law, and there has been a bill trying to amend that law specifically for 10 years, but it keeps getting denied and denied and denied.
right?
So that's what I found based on what I was looking up. I don't know.
Do you,
I guess-
do you, how do I want to, I don't know how to phrase this. The birth of the electric company isn't that old, right? So 1928 would have been at the very beginning of electrifying the whole country, relatively.
Mm-hmm.
So those are going to be pretty old laws for pretty old infrastructure.
Yeah.
What becomes the how does Shrewsbury work? Like, did you go to the other route? Like, how did they, like Holden and Shrewsbury, how are they operationally different? And why is it cheaper if it is cheaper?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it
Because it may
cheap?
not even be cheaper, who knows?
Yeah.
I think, I don't know the rates specifically, but I do think a lot of the town electric companies can
Cheaper.
offer cheaper rates because they're offering it to their residents directly.
Right, there's
There's
no
not
there's
that
no middleman
interference.
markup
Yeah.
from the National Grid.
I mean, I went on the website for Shrewsbury. I think it's Selco, Shrewsbury Electric something company. And I was just reading the story. I think
Do
they were one of the first.
Do they generate their own electricity?
Well, that's right, I mean, that's what I'm wondering, is
Sure.
like
I mean, I
operationally.
can't imagine they would. I mean, it's one town.
But you know, there are people in Shrewsbury that know the answers to all these questions and all them. So maybe we should just reach out to them and pick their brains. I'm sure they'd love to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
Mhm. Are there any other, no, I'll wait till you finish there. Are there any other power, not power, but charging stations planned? Or talked about?
We have tentative plans, for the library and other town buildings, but nothing set in stone just yet.
Okay, so that's sort of maybe on the radar. Sort
Yeah.
of,
Yeah, it's on the radar, definitely.
Mhm.
We got that grant, and that grant was a one-time grant, so I haven't looked into it since, just because I was out on maternity leave, so I don't mean to use that as an excuse or anything, but I haven't looked into funding more at
Kinda
other
works, though.
locations.
Kind of works as an excuse, it's okay.
Thank you.
Maybe we could ask, maybe we could
Oh,
request a
finance.
presentation
Yeah.
from the electric
Where can we
companies.
fund these? How can we
Well,
fund these?
I mean, first we gotta figure out what we want, right? You can't buy it until you know what it is.
Yeah.
So, like, to pursue something like this, obviously, is 99 obstacles, right? Because you've got the state, you've got National Grid, you've got all the stockholders to National Grid. But, because that's all money from somebody else's pocket. But I think the first logical thing to do would be see if we could maybe get them to do an explanation. They may not be thinking, I mean, look at their stuff, if it's from 1928, they probably have not changed an iota beyond the technology and how they bill and everything else, but,
Don't know.
because, everybody that started it is long gone, right?
Yeah.
So,
Who knows, it may be,
You know.
it may be that way or maybe not.
that's,
don't know.
right, ask questions, figure it out.
Yeah.
And then if the town is interested, like, it's like, we can be the first town with the electric company. Like this, we'll be the first with the rocket, we can be first with turning the light switch on,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's not any different,
Mhm.
because it's just how we want to proceed to get more information.
Yeah. It's interesting. I had fun looking it up and reading all the
Yeah.
procedural history on the different munis that are out there and why there haven't been any new ones. I might be wrong with the number 1928. It may be sooner
Yeah,
than that, but
Yeah.
more recent than that.
yeah. Do you know how many there are in this state? Roughly?
Not more than 100. I
That
don't know
would be a
the.
huge number.
Yeah, I don't
That
know
would
the
be
exact
1 in
number.
3. I mean, one of the funny things about people don't realize, Massachusetts, we have 300 borders. There are not 300 countries in the world.
Oh,
So
really?
we have more borders in Massachusetts than there are internationally. So we are like, if you want to know why things don't get done, it's like, it's like everything is a UN decision,
Yeah.
right? Like, and Auburn used to be Worcester and Millbury was Worcester. Like they cut everything up into these little pieces, which, supposedly makes us more representative and local control of government. But on the other hand, it makes everybody weaker. Because nobody has, it's like going back to the Italian city-states and you know, like they were weak because they were all fractured.
Mhm.
And in some ways, that's the map of Massachusetts. Everybody's weak instead of stronger together,
Yeah.
you know. But those are, you know,
I didn't realize there were that few.
countries in the world.
Countries.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I only discovered that recently, and I'm like, wow, that is just an
Interesting stuff.
unbelievable statistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody tuning into this meeting will get some good historical
Yeah.
information.
You want to hear something that's even scarier? Because I went to this finance conference Saturday. The way Standard & Poor's and Moody's works is every town manager, every time they go borrow money, they got to jump through hoops. And, you know, so that's why the bond rating is so important. But some towns are so rich that they just get AAA carte blanche. However, it is literally impossible for the town not to pay its bill. So if if the note is guaranteed, why is there a different interest rate? There is no risk lending to Auburn, to, you know, Manchester by the Sea. There's no more exposure for one to the other for
Yeah.
that banker. But again, who runs the State House? And so they're paying less for everything they buy. So that's why they're richer,
Yeah.
and we're paying more. This doesn't strike me as particularly fair.
Yeah.
It's interesting, I never heard that.
Yeah.
I know.
It makes sense, because, you know, you can't avoid your bills if you're a town.
Right, right,
So,
right.
Yeah.
So I'm sticking my nose in a lot of interesting things. Let me just put it out all at once. It's been
if you
very eye-opening.
So if you disappear someday, we'll know why.
You will know why, because I'm definitely going to antagonize a few people. But it's not. I'm not really blaming anybody. It's just the system grows up
Yeah.
because it has the inertia of. You know, I could talk to you about the revolution and, you know, who set this all in motion. But none of it was with ill intent, really. You know, you don't overthrow the king with ill intent. You must have a better plan. But that doesn't mean you actually had a better plan. You just knew that this guy was an obstacle to the plan,
Yeah.
you know. And now we have 250 years of history that maybe we should pay attention to what went wrong. You know, I mean, we have some great things. We have electricity. Thank Ben Franklin. He was at the center of all three of them. Right? Politics, science. You know.
Yeah. I think one of you has to make a motion to adjourn.
Can I do it this time?
Sure.
I make a motion to adjourn?
I second.
Great. Awesome.
That worked out good, we each had a motion.
That's right.
The advantages of a two-person board.
It's hard to disagree.
Well, thank you, Brooke.
You're welcome. I hope this was helpful and informative.
Yeah, I mean,
We're
Yes,
definitely
all
adjourned
done.
this time.
Yes.